So this is the junction between Ferntower Road, Knock Road, which is here, and Victoria Terrace, which I'm just going to lead on to and chat about that. Over where the residential home is in the background, that used to be a garage, a filling station called, it was owned by Mr. Donaldson, the Highlandman Garage, and where the filling station is the top of the East High Street. We also had a filling station, well, it was a filling station owned by him as well, but it turned into a cafe called the Highlandman Cafe, which was very popular back in the 1980s. But anyway, here's the Knock Road. The reason I jitter my language is because so many people just suddenly approach when I'm speaking, and with cars and pedestrians, and it's difficult to talk and not get them on film, you see. But Knock Road to the Knock, and it's pretty much unchanged, that avenue, apart from the far end top. There's a big house called Benachie. Unfortunately, they sold off part of the land for houses back in the 70s, and it was all redeveloped, and it's a bit, well, it's a bit cluttered up there now, to be perfectly honest, but it's still fairly quaint. And so anyway, Ferntower Road, and we're now coming on to Victoria Terrace. It's not quite as hot today as it was yesterday. This is the 9th of July 26, Victoria Terrace, obviously named after Queen Victoria. And across the way is well, it's Morrison's Academy. Not the best view of Morrison's Academy, I have to say. The old building, which was constructed in, let's cross the road, constructed in 1860. It's been an educational establishment developed by, what was his first name? Mr. Morrison, Thomas Morrison, I think his name was. And he was a stonemason, and he had plenty of damn money, so he decided to build a school, just like Mr. Frost at Avrac, who done likewise in 1883. I'm not going up to Avrac School today, unfortunately, but this is the Victoria Terrace. All these buildings and detached villas, which are beautiful, were all designed and built in the Victorian period. And noisy motorbikes coming past Andrew. Damn nuisance. But what I want to say to you is, see these trees, these lime trees. Well, back in 1900, if you ever take time to walk around the perimeter of Morrison's Academy, there's 40 in total. There was 40 planted in 1900 as part of the celebrations of reaching the 40th anniversary. And these are the remnants of the 40 original lime trees. And so that's why these trees they're more evident down towards Colville's Road area. I'll show you shortly. But these houses were actually off limits for my paper round when I was young. I started mine, I'll show you shortly. But this was a different area for whoever had this part for their paper round, but this is not mine. But, yeah, I was saying it's a bit fresher than it was yesterday. Yesterday was absolutely roasting hot, but it was beautiful. Not the sort of day that you wanted to go and buy an ice cream or indeed an ice lolly, because, well, the time you got from the shop to the bloody pavement, it would have been melted all over your hands. I speak from experience on this matter. There's the trees I'm talking about. Those lime trees. Let's just wander down. Yes, I remember when I was coming back from the caddying at Crieff Golf Club back in the, well, mostly 1972. I've told you the story about William Milne, the miserable bastard. Gave me 50 pence for carrying his clubs for 18 holes. Can't get over it. Professional golfer he is too. The breeze is picking up, Andy. I hope we can hear each other. Yes, where the handy shop is in Crieff, if you know the location, that's always been a sweet shop and small grocery type thing. And I used to always go in and buy an ice cream. Well, it was an ice cream lolly called Count Dracula. Sometimes I got a Fab, but generally it was Count Dracula. It was absolutely brilliant. But one day I came and I thought, I'll wait to get down to Granny's before I eat it. But I couldn't wait, and halfway down the High Street, East High Street, I opened the wrapper and the bloody thing fell off the lollipop stick onto the floor. I was in absolute tears. It was the last pennies I had on the day. The rest of it was spent on sweeties. So I complained to Granny, but she said, "Oh, that's just too bad, Andrew. I'm sorry, but can't help you today." But these are the lime trees I'm talking about. No, my granny wasn't being miserable. It's just she's trying to teach me a thing about life, that you have to face disappointments like a man and accept things don't always go to plan. That rhymes, doesn't it? Face things like a man, because all things don't go to plan. Yeah, this is the bowling green, which the people in my village are trying to get their grass to be as smooth as that. Hence why they're out with their bloody trimmers and lawnmowers every second day. So annoying. So we're heading down this way, Andy. As I said, as the breeze is it's getting a bit gusty. But you can see that the buildings, there's a lot of decent architects around back in the Victorian era, in Edwardian times. I think they need to employ themselves a gardener in there. But anyway, we're going to take ourselves down onto the main thoroughfare. We've passed a few things. I don't think I've forgotten to mention anything about things over here. But this house over here, this large house, I think it's empty now, but this was once a girls' boarding school for Morrison's Academy. It's called Ogilvie House. There was many of these buildings in the town of Crieff in the north end, which were dedicated as boarding accommodation for particularly overseas students. Not always. A lot of them were, the parents didn't want anything to do with them, so they sent them off to boarding school. It happens a lot in the private school. Or, to be correct, absolutely concise, it's not a private school. Well, Morrison's is a private school, Morrison's Academy, but likes of Ardrec is more commonly known as a public school. Like Harrow and Winchester and the likes. Although not as well, you get my drift, don't you? So this is where my paper rounds began. It wasn't Ogilvie House, Andy. They've changed the name. It's Ben Heath that's on there. Well, it was never Ben Heath. It was Ogilvie House, I can assure you. I'm sure it was always Ogilvie House, Andy. Yes, it was. It was never Ben Heath. Ben Heath was a different house along Craigard Road. It was. Ben Heath was a great big damn building, that's right. So they've stole the name from along there and called it. This is Heathcote Road, which runs all the way down to the old West Church, which became St Ninian's and is now residential living quarters, although I think most of it's up for sale. And Crieff War Memorial's down there. Hello, lucky cat. Have you come to see Andrew? You're just passing. Hello, lucky cat. What's your name? Right? You're just passing. Do you know Nilla? A stripy cat that comes and stays with me often. No? Psst, psst. Come on, get a wee cuddle. Come on then. Here we are. You went, I kind of like, I'm not sure it's better to trust you. You could lash out. Lash out with your paws. Or your claws, I should say. Anyway, Heathcote Road was passed with my paper. Colbers Road, Gordon Road. And we come up here. You watch not get knocked down, you silly fool. Or run over. Why can't you speak properly? Because it's Mercury retrograde. Pussycat, watch the car. Anyway, we move on. So Heathcote Road goes up and joins Drummond Terrace. Bye bye, Pussycat. She came to see you, Andrew. And so these are really spiffing houses, and well, yes, they are, Andy. Although there is a lot of dilapidation, which is a perfect term for what's happened to a lot of the gardens here. I don't want to point the camera into that house, which was built in 1899, but the garden is a damn mess, unless they like it that way. They obviously gave up with the garden. They're probably not keen gardeners. So that's one of my houses for the delivering. As I recall, Daily Telegraph. My paper bag, the one that went over your shoulder, great big bloody thing, was always stacked with Financial Times, Daily Telegraphs, the Times newspaper, although it's more left-wing, socialist rag nowadays. Athelstane, another property I would deliver to, clinking the gate in the morning, and yes, and there's a house down here called Craigard. Is it this one? Or maybe they've changed the damn name again, Andy. Morena. Is this it down here, Andy? I think it's such a while since I actually dandered down this way. Oh, here it is, Craigard here, yes. So this property here, called Craigard, well, my GP, Dr. GP, my original Dr. GP for all my years of growing up, well, he actually came to Crieff, well, he came in July 1963, and the very first baby he delivered was me. And that's a fact, that's not a fable, that is fact. And I spoke to him about it. He's in his 80s now, but I said to him, do you remember that? He said, yes, I do remember. Well, it was a cheese and wine party up at Arbroath School when I used to work there. And he was in, shut up, I'm speaking, you. Shut up. He was at the cheese and wine party as well. I said to him, sorry to interrupt, but listen, is there any truth in the matter that I was delivered by you, and not only delivered by you, but you were the first baby that you ever delivered? He says, correct. And then a couple of years back I met him. I said, go and just tell me again. He says, yes, I came in July 63, and the first baby I delivered. Of course, I was born at home in my granny's one of her rooms. So lots of information there, isn't there? Well, if there's any identity theft happening, well, they're pleased to have my identity. You can have it. I'm not fussy. You be quiet, you. But fabulous hedges, laurel hedges and beech hedges. There's an apple tree there, a monkey puzzle tree, Japanese maple, and St Oswald's, another place I delivered to. I can't remember which one they got. There should have been another house. It's in here. And they always had a curling stone on their doorstep, that house there. You can't really see it now. You can see how much the vegetation has risen since I was here delivering newspapers back in the 1970s. Yes, that house was called Craig. Where is it? Possibly changed the name, Andy. I think I've maybe mixed up now. Craigmore, yes. I thought it was, I was going to say Craigdhu, but Craigdhu's along here. Craigmore. And wonderful, wonderful memories here. So this is Victoria Terrace, and I'm sure you must be delighted to see that we've got some spiffing avenues in the town, although the road surface is not as neat and as good as it used to be, and there are weeds. That would never have happened back in years gone by. Not at all, especially in this part of the world where they paid the highest rates in the town. Of course, that was replaced by poll tax and then council tax. This is the old Glider House Hotel, and down in here, this is where I got caught one morning in 1977, nibbling the hoteliers' pea pods, peas, garden peas. I sat with my paper and I was delivering his newspaper, spotted them. I thought, I'll just have a few. But he phoned my boss, David Campbell, the newsagent, and said, the Scallywag Scallywag newsboy has been eating my vegetables, and particularly the peas. So I got reprimanded for it in such a fashion. I got sacked. He had no choice. So I got sacked from my paper round in 1977. But I soon got another one. And then eventually came back after about a year, 14 months. I came back again. I said, I won't be eating anyone's peas. He said, right, you get started on Monday, Andy. Andrew, he said, Andrew. So here we are, Craigard Road. I have to tell you, if you're not familiar with Craigard Road and you come up this way and you don't drop down to first gear at the top there, then you're in all sorts of problems. And I'm not sure if this used to be part of the driving test. I don't think it was. No, it wasn't. But it should be. It definitely should be. Because if you can't manage that one, then you shouldn't be on the bloody roads. It is a nightmare. And if you're turning from the Comrie Road down the bottom there, Avalon Terrace, onto the Craigard Road, it's equally, well, it's quite difficult. So that's Gordon Road down there. And as I say, Victoria Terrace. Am I yapping a lot? You are. Let's have a wander along Glider Road for a little short while, Andy. This is a T-junction, a dead end, sorry. No through road. I know all about it. Yes, because it leads to Avric School. And not only did I have a paper round up here on 2 separate occasions, the one I just told you about, but if we got sacked, and then later I was, I walked miles and miles and miles on my paper round every day, making sure they were delivered, carrying that bloody huge weight, especially when I had these supplements, Saturday supplements, and the magazines would double the weight. But mainly Daily Telegraph, Scotsman, Financial Times, the Times newspaper, the occasional courier. There was never any tabloids delivered up in this neck of the wood. If I had popped a Daily Record through some socialist shite through any of these letterbox up here, that would have been another sacking offence. So this is the Seventh-day Adventist place. I've never really understood what they're about. They're sort of in between the Mormons and the Jehovah's, I think. The Seventh-day Adventists. I'm not entirely sure. I best not slag the religion. Or the type of religion that they advocate to. Yeah, there's another house I used to do, Alvey. I remember that. Yes, but mostly, here's Craigdhu, Annie. We passed it. Yeah, it's there. I think you just, because you're in a bit scattered mood. There it's there. Craigard Road. And the house down there, I'm not sure if I've told you the story before, but when we used to deliver leaflets for the Church of Scotland on a Sunday evening back in 1970, 71 time, we done it voluntarily. Me and my brothers, and I remember going to that house. Now, I told you the story before, I don't know. Noise. Beautiful, isn't it? We're going to get disturbed with this bloody hedge cutter. The woman had the most, I have told you the story, she had the most delightful lighting arrangement in her house I've ever known. Once we get past this noisy bastard, I will maybe come back to the story and repeat it if we've got any footage left, that is. And of course there's Blair Begg is down in here. So this is Blair Begg, Dr. Wishart, one of the doctor GPs in the town. He used to stay in there, and he was part of my delivery service as well. And the houses are absolutely fabulous all the way along here. I have to tell you that it's such a grand place. But the thing is, it used to be mostly retired people, you know, people who'd maybe worked out in Rhodesia and stuff like that, and then come back, made their money in South Africa or Rhodesia, returned home, bought a big villa, Victorian villa, and lived off their savings, because there was no council tax in those days, of course. But this is Lochsacre, and this is owned by my Belgian relatives at one time, and I spent most of the summer of '79 working in there. Between, well, not every day, I wasn't full time, but any time they needed me, I'd come up and I worked away with my uncle. And he was very thorough. Every job he'd done was done to the utmost professionalism, I have to say. Even sweeping up was done. I learned a lot from that man, you know. But even when we were painting the windows, I said, well, just put the paint on. He says, no, he says, we take everything back. I sanded it right back. Every single inch of those windows were sanded right back to the bare wood, primed up, first coat, second coat, and then painted over. It was amazing. But the finish was absolutely astounding. I remember the lady who worked in here, not worked in here, she lived in here. She drove a fabulous car, a Triumph convertible, and she always had a chiffon scarf. Honestly, she was probably a type of, well, dark hair, sunglasses always propped up onto the top of her hair, and she always greeted you in the morning. She must have commuted somewhere, but she was a lovely lady. And then, why are we going to be along here, Andy? This is Dunfermline. It's split in two. I delivered to both addresses. The exception was Major Halley, who lived at the top there. He would get a Daily Express. He would always have his Daily Express. I think it was a Scotsman in Daily Express. I've got a story I could tell you. And this one up here is Dunfermline. And this driveway up here is this house was built in the 60s. It's a heated driveway. It's pretty amazing. Up here in all weathers, the snowy winters and stuff, and this was always black tarmac. It's been sort of tarred since, but the grasses were never like that. That was a perfect grass, like the bloody bowling green we passed earlier. But he was, he had something to do with supermarkets, and I think he was something like 1.2 million shares in one bloody supermarket. He lived a great life. And anyway, Major Halley was in that house in there. I was going to tell you a story about him, but I've cancelled it. I'm not going to tell you now. And oh, we go all the way along here, Andy. I thought we were sticking to Victoria Terrace. This is not talking about Victorian terraces, this is talking about you. I never delivered to Balmenoch. I did not. Nope. No, I don't think they... There's another house up here called Clarinch. And yeah, I was saying, because of the paper rounds, this is why I knew the way up to Arvret School. And I've told the story on this channel about me going for the interview for the job and not giving me enough time to arrive. 9:30 on Saturday, and I arrived about 4 minutes past 9:30. It wasn't a great start, was it? I had washed my hair and the bloody hairdryer wasn't working. So I toweled it dry. It was just a disaster. Mercury must have been in retrograde or something. That's doing an awful lot of sort of remedial work. It's spoiling things a wee bit, Andy. This is Clarinch, you see, you need no convincing. And wonderful house. Beautiful house actually up there. And this is another house up here, which I always took a shortcut from Clarinch over the fence to that one, and that chap up there complained to David Campbell again, says your paper boy's climbing over the fence. If you want to deliver, he's got to use the steps like everybody else. So I had to come all the way down from Clarinch, all the way down here, and then go all the way back up. This is the Hugh. This property is the Hugh, and that was owned by Arvret School. Well, it was what it was for was cars passing. What it was for was actually for the well, some of the pupils and stuff, and one of the masters stayed in there and stuff, you know what I mean? It was, what do you call it, housemaster and sort of dormitory, yeah? The housemaster and his wife and all of this. But there we go. So I'm not going into Arvret School, obviously, because unless I have a little kick at just to see the hedges and stuff that I used to sweep and cut, you fool. Yes. Yes, I had a great time when I worked at Arvret School. It was a wonderful place. It was out of this world. It was a completely different dimension. As soon as you crossed that threshold, you were on a different planet. I really loved it, especially the other days. And these are the hedges, which have also doubled in height since I used to trim them. And lots of, well, there's no access to these places now, so I'm unable to go through there. And there's Greenways, another, well, that's the one. A long tour up those steps to deliver a couple of bloody newspapers every day. Can you imagine doing all that from 7 o'clock in the morning and then having to trudge all the way back from the paper shop back home and then get ready to go to school? And have time for some breakfast, and gather your school books and your pencil case. I always had a pencil case, Andy. I quite like stationery, and I like things always neat, and I always had a decent pencil case, sharp pencil sharpener. Although particularly in primary school, they used to have a machine that went like that. You stuck your pencil in the bloody thing like that and just turned that sharpened your pencil. But I liked doing it myself. And I always had a rubber, although I was told to change the name. It's not a rubber, it's a razor. But I didn't like the name of razor. I liked rubber. And we didn't have any Tipp-Ex at that time. Well, I was quite good at handwriting. That's one thing about my teacher. Mrs. Patterson. She was a brilliant teacher, she really was. When I was about 7 or something, and she really was top notch. And she says, "You've got good skills in English, Andrew. I think you should be a writer." That's what she told me. And she said, "I want to get you to practice your handwriting. I want you to try and improve on it." And that's what I used to do. And unfortunately, my report cards, which I still have from these periods, I'll show you some, a little booklet. Andrew spends a lot of his time gazing out the window. He's not very attentive. If something's not of interest to him, he spends loads of time looking out the window and has to be checked regularly for this. Well, that's true. I used to turn off. If something totally... I'm the same nowadays. I'm quite clear about it. I don't have the same interests as many other people. And unless it's something I want to know about, I just switch off. But a bit of a reminiscence in here, Andy. No wonder you were fit up and down all these bloody braes, all these houses. But I definitely remember that lady. She really was quite spiffing. She was. I think that's why I've always had this thing about. You know, it was a Triumph convertible, and her clothes were absolutely fabulous. I don't know what she'd done for a job, but she must have had some. Maybe she owned a boutique or something. I don't know. We better switch off, Andy. We've been along Craigard Road as well as come down Victorian Terrace. I'm quite sure that everybody's had enough. I don't want to listen to this bloody nonsense along here. Everywhere I go, the noise follows me. Yeah. Doesn't matter where I go. I've decided if we've got any footage left here, Andy, we'll have a wander up Craigard Road and along Terrace to pick up the car. But I have to tell you that I mean, there's still some neatness in some of the gardens, but what's happened is you get these eco people who've moved in, lots of dosh, and then they've changed the character of the area by bloody solar panels and big windows and stuff, you know, more light and sort of grand designs type bloody shite. And the whole, this should be a conservation area. They shouldn't be able to change any of the buildings to any degree. I must contact the council. That will be another complaint to them. I think I'm up to 173 now for the year. I've got so many complaints lodged, or at least can you come back to me on this one and tell me? I contacted them about Taylor Park signage. I'll have to load that for you. And I've contacted them about Ocean's stone being in the wrong place. And what else have we got to do? So we're heading away up here. This property over here is called Akaroa. What's it called now? It's called the Castle Lodge, which is Akaroa. But you can see the quality of these buildings. I mean, these are turned into sort of £1.92 million properties in this postcode area, just over a few number of years. In fact, I know how much. I best not disclose. This is Drummond Towers. Well, if I told you that one of the houses down in Victoria Terrace cost £600 in the 1960s, and the same house now would probably cost about, I reckon about 1.3 million. Maybe not quite as much as that, but can you imagine well, a year on increase on your asset to that degree? No wonder so many of these people can afford to do things. They just phone up their equity release company and just say, the valuation of my house is now this, can I get £60,000 from it? Oh yes, by all means. I can give you £1 million if you want. No, 60,000 is fine. And of course, well, I still can't work out how the middle classes survive. That's probably one part of it, at least. But, I mean, they've got to pay the same prices as everyone else when they go shopping. I mean, they've got to. Utility companies and everything will cost them just as much, probably a bit more, because they're probably quite high users of electricity and gas and oil, etc. Mind you, that looks like a downgraded BMW from the one they had maybe 3 years ago. So maybe it's starting to bite them as well. The cost of living. The cost of living crisis for the middle classes. That's probably handy why so many of the gardens are in such a damn state. I can't afford to employ gardeners, which is a bit of a shame too. I think we'll cross the road, Annie, because what we'll do is just picking up car registration numbers, and it's not really much fun for anyone.